Welcome to Super Showdowns, the ultimate destination for epic battles and legendary showdowns. Join us as we put iconic superheroes, villains, and mythological figures against each other in a thrilling matches of strength, strategy, and skill. The skies over Midgard churned with unnatural fury. Thunder rolled across the heavens, shaking the land with deafening force, while the wind howled like the wails of fallen warriors. It was as if the realm itself trembled in anticipation of what was to come. Kratos stood at the edge of a ruined cliffside, his powerful form silhouetted against the dark horizon. His scarred, battle-worn hands gripped the Leviathan axe, its frost-kissed steel glimmering under the dim light of the moon. The Ghost of Sparta had long since forsaken the reckless rage of his youth, yet deep within his soul, he felt a familiar stirring, a sense of war on the horizon. Something was coming, something powerful, something unnatural. Atreus, his son, stood beside him, the bow of his mother at the ready. His keen senses had alerted him long before the first tremor shook the land. He could feel it in the air, a presence unlike any they had ever encountered. "Father," Atreus said, his voice laced with uncertainty, "do you feel that?" Kratos did not answer immediately. He closed his eyes, inhaling deeply. The air smelled of burning ozone and cracked stone, as if the very elements themselves recoiled from the being that approached. Then, the ground beneath them split with a deafening boom. The cliffside trembled, sending loose rocks tumbling into the valley below. A deep, guttural growl rumbled from the darkness, vibrating through the earth like the roar of an ancient beast. And then, from the depths of the shadows, he emerged, a colossal figure, towering, muscle-bound, skin the color of a storm-laden sky. His massive frame seemed almost too large for this world, his every step sending shockwaves rippling through the landscape. His eyes burned with an emerald fire, filled with unrelenting rage, and his breathing was heavy, labored, like a volcano on the verge of eruption. Kratos and Atreus beheld the Hulk. The monster's massive fists clenched and unclenched, his nostrils flaring as he took in his surroundings. His body pulsed with raw, unbridled power. Power that even Kratos, a slayer of gods, had never encountered before. Hulk's gaze settled on the two figures before him, and his expression twisted into something between confusion and anger. "Where is Banner?" he growled, his voice like grinding boulders. Kratos studied the beast before him, his warrior instincts flaring. This was no mere brute.
Hey you, don't just watch. Subscribe, please.
Something deeper here, something buried beneath the rage. But Kratos had learned long ago that reason meant little to creatures of war. "I know no Banner," Kratos answered, his voice as cold as the frost clinging to his axe. "Only that you do not belong in this realm." Hulk's massive chest rose and fell, his fist tightening. Then, Hulk smash. Before Kratos could react, the green behemoth launched himself forward with earth-shattering force, the ground exploding beneath his feet. The air whistled as Hulk's massive fist came crashing down, aimed directly at Kratos' head. But the Ghost of Sparta was no stranger to speed. With a swift, calculated motion, he dodged, rolling to the side just as Hulk's punch obliterated the cliffside where he had been standing. A shockwave tore through the battlefield, sending Atreus stumbling backward as dust and debris filled the air. Kratos didn't hesitate. The Leviathan axe spun in his grip before he hurled it forward with godly precision. The weapon whistled through the air, its enchanted steel glowing with frost before it buried itself deep in Hulk's chest. Ice began to spread from the wound, crawling over Hulk's skin like the touch of winter's death. But Hulk did not fall. Instead, he looked down at the axe, his expression twisting into fury. With an earth-shaking roar, he ripped the weapon from his flesh and snapped it in half with his bare hands. Kratos' eyes narrowed slightly. This one is different. The Leviathan axe was no ordinary weapon. It had survived the wrath of gods, felled dragons, and slain titans. And yet this creature had broken it, as if it were nothing more than a wooden stick. Hulk charged again, this time faster. He swung his massive arm in a brutal arc, catching Kratos mid-dodge and sending him flying across the battlefield. The Spartan smashed through a row of boulders, his body tumbling violently before coming to a halt. Atreus gasped, "Father," but Kratos was already rising. Blood trickled from his lip, but his eyes burned with the fire of battle. This was no mere beast. This was something far more dangerous. Hulk cracked his knuckles, his muscles swelling, growing even stronger. Kratos wiped the blood from his chin and summoned the blades of chaos. The fiery chains uncoiled around his arms, their ancient power awakening once more. "This beast grows stronger the longer it fights," Kratos muttered, assessing his foe. He turned his head slightly toward Atreus. "Stay back." "But, Father..." Now, Atreus hesitated, then reluctantly retreated, his eyes locked onto the unfolding battle. Hulk's breathing grew heavier. His rage was building, his power escalating. "Hulk, crush, puny god!" With a thunderous boom, the behemoth launched himself forward once more. But this time, Kratos did not dodge. Instead, he charged straight at him. The battlefield trembled as two titans collided. The moment Kratos and Hulk collided, the very land beneath them ruptured. A cataclysmic shockwave blasted outward, tearing through the valley with godlike force. Trees were uprooted, mountains splintered, and the very air trembled with the impact. Kratos, a warrior forged in the fires of war, struck with the fury of a god. His blades of chaos lashed out, searing through the night with trails of fire. Each strike was calculated, aimed to wound, to cripple, to kill. The blades wrapped around Hulk's arm, but before Kratos could pull, the Green Titan yanked him forward with monstrous strength. Kratos flew through the air like a rag doll, his body crashing into the jagged cliffs. He barely had time to rise before Hulk was upon him again. The beast's massive fist came down like a hammer of the gods. Kratos barely rolled away as the impact shattered the rock face, sending stone debris raining down like an avalanche. The Ghost of Sparta spun, swinging his blade in a deadly arc, carving deep into Hulk's side. Blood sprayed, dark and thick, but Hulk did not slow down. If anything, he grew stronger. He roared.
Hey you, don't just watch. Subscribe please.
Sound that shook the heavens, his veins pulsing with uncontainable rage. His wounds closed in seconds, his muscle mass swelling, his already impossible strength growing beyond measure. Kratos grimaced. This battle cannot be won through mere endurance. Boom! Before he could react, Hulk grabbed him by the head and slammed him into the ground. The force sent cracks racing across the land, turning the battlefield into a crumbling wasteland. Then came the Thunderclap. Hulk clapped his hands together, and the resulting shockwave was apocalyptic. A sonic explosion of raw force ripped through the battlefield, obliterating trees, reducing mountains to rubble, and hurling Kratos through the air like a leaf in a hurricane. Atreus, far away from the main fight, was nearly blown off his feet by the sheer force. His ears rang, his vision blurred. Kratos hit the ground hard, skidding across the dirt, leaving a deep trench in his wake. His body ached, but he forced himself up. He had fought gods. He had slain titans. He would not fall so easily. Summoning his last reserves of strength, Kratos threw himself at Hulk once more. He struck with all the power of a god, his fist crashing into Hulk's face with bone-crushing force. He pummeled the monster, each blow shaking the air. But Hulk did not buckle. He endured. He adapted. He grew stronger. And then he roared. The raw power of his voice sent Kratos flying back, giving Hulk just enough space to leap high into the sky, higher than any being should be able to. Kratos barely had time to react before Hulk came crashing back down like a meteor, his fist leading the way. Boom! The force of the impact was beyond mortal comprehension. A crater the size of a city erupted from the ground. The very realm of Midgard seemed to groan in protest. Kratos was driven into the earth, the sheer force cracking his godly armor, breaking bone and crushing muscle. His vision blurred, his strength faded. For the first time in an eternity, Kratos felt something unfamiliar: defeat. The dust settled. Hulk stood over the fallen god, his massive chest heaving, his fists trembling with rage. But as he gazed down at his fallen foe, his breathing began to slow. He had won. His rage, though never truly gone, had been satisfied for now. Hulk turned away, his monstrous form silhouetted against the ruins of the battlefield. He had no interest in killing a defeated warrior. He did not fight for conquest, for revenge, or for power. He fought because the rage demanded it. Kratos, lying in the rubble, his body broken but his will unshattered, watched as the green behemoth slowly vanished into the distance. He exhaled, tasting blood. For the first time in ages, he had been outmatched. And deep within, he knew if they ever fought again, Hulk would only be stronger.